What is the big deal with power? Why is it such a scary concept? Why are you so unworthy of it? Why are you so afraid of it? It's your God-given right. It's your first gift.
I have a question around what you just shared before, like I am powerful or I am strength, like amping up this aliveness. And it feels when I like am in this upstreaming energy, like realizations are more easy. But it feels different to this kind of letting everything dry out, the desert. Yeah, like what is the value of doing or declaring I am powerful, and like it's easy to love from that state.
It's easy to love from that state?
Yes.
Yes.
Like it's easy to accept everything. So I have a confusion around it. Often when I amp up, it feels it is also coming from the person or the concept of self. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And versus like everything, letting everything die or dry out, bringing everything to the point of I experience, to the 0 point in a way.
To the what?
To the 0 point.
SIBO?
0.
0 point, okay.
Of experience, like from where the illusion comes. Yeah, so.
And are you awake then to the fact that nothingness, so to speak, is powerful?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. So it's just that a lot of people kind of fall asleep at the wheel, or when they talk about nothingness, it's conflated with some weak ideas. But it's got to be alive. If it's a sleepy, if it's a weak kind of thing, then there's still ideas involved with it. It's not the real non-dual awareness. It's not the true nothingness from which you come. So if it doesn't feel powerful and potent and like either it just wants to rest and amp up its power, or it wants to naturally express in the form of inspiration, generosity, love, like you said, then there's a conflation. So then you can wake up from that more. You can wake up to the aliveness underneath it all. Source is alive. No, it may be at rest, but it is alive. It's not asleep. It's not weak.
Yes, and
often all it takes is just for you to hear this, like, hey, wait a second, Source is powerful. And it can break the spell of taking your weakness beliefs with you into your Source recognition. Just to know, hey, wait a second, what am I thinking? Weak? Sleepy? Source is powerful. Just to know that will allow that to come through.
And as a practice, I sometimes feel that I first need to step into my power to cut through.
Without fuel, you're not going anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, that was basically the question of like bringing up the energy.
Yes, yeah. Raise your will. Without raising your will, none of this teaching stuff works. It just doesn't work. It doesn't have the power. That's one of the traps of spirituality, as it's often taught, and the leaning towards niceness and sweetness and acceptance. But what gets undervalued is the cutting through. It's the determination, it's the decision making, it's the conviction. Without the power, you're not going to pick up that bike after you've fallen 3 times and learn how to ride it. But if you're powerful, you're convinced, then you don't even count the amount of times that you fall off the bike. You just don't, because you know. You can do, as Anurag was saying, are you convinced that you can do this? So many times people believe they can't do that. It's that disempowering feeling. Now, to me, there's nothing less spiritual than that. So we can dress that up with incense and tie-dye clothing, or whatever that's called, the rainbow colors and the sweet festivals and the validation communities, but that's got very little to do with source. So if you don't have the power, then what you gonna do? You don't have power. If you have no power, then we have no speakers. We have no electricity, we have no heat, we have no toaster. That same goes for spirituality. It's not just for physical things. It's not just to build a house that you need power. You need power to cut through your own nonsense. And if you've declared that you are weak, if you're under the spell of I am weak or I can't do this, then you're not going to cut through that and make that easy shift. But when you have power, it's an easy shift. When you're weak, you're consuming. You're an absorbent, and not in the perfect black hole sense. You're absorbent as a person. You can't help but sort of steal energy from everywhere around you. You just don't know anybody. You can't access anything. So you can't love, you can't give, you can't be generous, you can't be courageous. You cannot give your wife the freedom she wants. Because what does it mean about my weakness? For instance. But if you have the power, suddenly you're you're generous. There's a love that flows, generosity, conviction. Things get done, spiritually and physically. Ultimately, same thing, but to make a distinction. So for your self-realization, not just for your materialization and your self-actualization, but also for your self-realization, and I think this has distinguished me from a lot of other seekers, and it's part of the reason why I can sit here today and have this conversation with you. If I look at so many of the other seekers that I was with and that I know, and the traps, it was a lack of determination. It was a lack of will in most people that haven't quite gotten them to the point at the speed that it got me to this point. Raise your will. Don't take limitations as real. Accept them in the common conventional world, Don't break unnecessary rules and stuff. But internally, no limitations.
And what it feels like is still that this identity, or this, not the small self, but like my being can, or like, it seems it's on a different level when I amp up the power, or when I step out of the way, then, for example, awareness, or where it's coming from. So, but would you say this is still like the way to go, also like from my...
So why do you doubt that? And check in with yourselves. When you think of power, when you think of raise your will, when you think of draw a line in the sand, say no, what comes up for you?
Too mature.
Sorry?
Too mature.
Too mature? Okay. Oh, too mature. But what doubt comes up? What trigger comes up? Maybe not for everyone, but when you think of power and raise your will, what is the hesitance that arises? That makes you ask the question, is this still the right way to go? You already said, you have the evidence. You say, when the power is there, it feels so much more effective, efficient. The energy is there. And then you ask, is that still the way to go?
Yeah, this... Yeah, it's like
But why do you have that question? Why do you have the doubt? Why are you so doubtful? Won't be able to handle it? What else? Lack of connection? No, okay, but I'm saying conviction. I'm saying power. I'm saying raise your will. What does that trigger in you in the hesitant sense, in the opposing way? Like, oh yes, okay, sounds good maybe, but not good enough? Can't do it. How you will be perceived. Nice. Effort. Okay. What? Stressing. Mm-hmm. Can be a target. Say again. Learned humbleness in the wrong way. Learned humbleness in the wrong way. Yeah, so what comes up for you as an instinctive response to power from that belief? Not being worthy? Beautiful. I mean, it's ugly as fuck, but beautiful that you share it. Arrogance, right? Like we associate it with arrogance, how it will be perceived. I can't do it that way. Maybe I'll be imbalanced. I won't be able to control myself. Like all these doubts. We've got such a negative association with will. Effort, stress. It takes effort if you don't have the will. It stresses you out if you're not convinced. You become arrogant when you think you're unworthy of power. And I don't mean power over anyone or anything, just power. The power to fuel your choice, your will, to direct your attention. Whether it's inward to self-realization and or outward towards self-actualization, it doesn't matter. The same power is needed for the inward stuff, the upward stuff, and the downward stuff, and the grounding stuff, and the expressing stuff. Both need the same will, the same power. It's not a negative thing. Arrogance equals insecurity. I've never seen an arrogant person whose arrogance is not based in insecurity. And I've never seen a truly confident person who's not humble. What is the big deal with power? Why is it such a scary concept? Why are you so unworthy of it? Why are you so afraid of it? It's your God-given right. It's your first gift. The first gift given to you is free will. Not lame will. Not sleepy will. Not sucky-ducky will. Free will, which implies the power to choose, the power to decide. That's what free will means. It's not slave will, it's free will. That's powerful. By definition, it means the power to choose. Why is the first gift given to you so squandered underneath a doormat of lame ideas? And do you want to continue to buy into that? Do you want to continue to declare that to yourself internally? True power is at rest. It doesn't try to prove anything. It doesn't, no offense, but it doesn't need to dance on the chair. Might be an authentic expression, but oftentimes it's compensation still. True power doesn't have to come on stage and sing to prove it's free. Do you get that? True power, the most powerful beings that I've ever met, and I've met very few, there's a great scarcity of powerful people in the world. There is a calm about them. Authenticity, you could say, because they don't do anything to gain anything, you see. So if power seems to express itself as domination, as compensatory behavior, as showing off, it's insecurity disguised as arrogance. That's not what I mean by power. So whatever associations you have of power, consider them to be absolutely polluted. Consider that you don't know the nature of power just yet, the true nature, that no human being has ever given you a true image, a true understanding of what power is. Power is what you're after. You all seek power. You only cause a ruckus up until the point where you find it. The problems are caused by trying to find the power, trying to mimic the power. But when you find true power, you become transparent. Without power, no light. You have to embrace that you are powerful while throwing out any idea, any association you have of that. Clean slate. What is power? Which is synonymous with free will. What is that? Free will. Free. Free willy. Can you be open to power? You, humble, cute, sweet, well-behaved, all-accepting spiritual student of life who doesn't want to intrude upon anything or anyone. You? Me? Powerful? Bentinho on stage? Maybe. Donald Trump, that asshole? Maybe. But me, poor old weak, seeking healing and acceptance, little me, I just want to self-realize in silence. I just want to disappear and be humble. I don't want to make a joke that offends anybody. Powerful? Me? I didn't realize spiritual realization needed power. I thought that out of the kindness of my heart, I could penetrate lifetimes of delusion upon delusion upon delusion upon delusion upon delusion. Well, you are wrong. You need to be unapologetically powerful, which again, no offense, it was what it was, doesn't mean you have to dance on your chair. I just want to disclaim this. It doesn't mean you have to sing on stage. It doesn't mean you have to prove something. It doesn't mean you have to prove that you can manifest your reality. It doesn't mean you have to become a politician. You don't know the meaning of power yet, but be open to it, because without it, nothing can work. Not even your surrender to God. Surrender to God is not sweet at all. Surrender to God is ruthless. Whether you're male or female, it's radical. It's absolute. It requires everything you've got. Without power, no God awareness. Without power, no sourceful life. Who says you can't be loving and kind and transparent and honest and own your bullshit with power? Who says you can't stay calm and not be the one that has to show off in the room when you are the most powerful person in the room? Why can you not be the quietest person in the room with the most humble, simple clothing? Get rid of those associations. Never weaken yourself. Again, if this is not embraced, none of the things we talked about here today are going to stick for you. Power first, then everything else.